Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Muslim friends, in Islamic teachings, the end times are one of the topics that are always interesting to discuss. There are many signs that indicate that the apocalypse is getting closer, and one of the biggest signs that is believed to occur is the emergence of the Dajjal. Dajjal is referred to as Al-Masih, Ad-Dajjal, or in other words, the false Messiah. He is described as a creature who will bring great slander and mislead many people. However, who exactly is the Dajjal? Is he really a human figure who will appear at the end of time, or is he just a symbol of evil and misguidance? It turns out that various schools of thought in Islam have slightly different understandings of who the Dajjal is, how he will appear, and how he will be defeated. In this video, we will discuss how the 5 schools of thought in Islam understand the Dajjal: Sunni, Shia, Sufi, Ahmadiyya, and Ibadi. Each school of thought has its own perspective, which is influenced by their teachings and beliefs. Let's watch this video until the end so that we can understand more broadly how Islam views the greatest trial at the end of time. The Sunni view of Dajjal. In Sunni Islam, Dajjal is a real figure who will appear before the apocalypse. He is not just a legend or symbol, but someone who will really come and bring an extraordinary fitna. Dajjal is depicted as a man with one blind eye, while the other eye shines like a star. On his forehead is written the word kafir, which can be read by every believer, both educated and illiterate. He has extraordinary powers that will deceive many people. Dajjal can bring the dead back to life, make it rain, turn the desert into fertile land, and even provide food and wealth to his followers. However, all of that is just a trick. Dajjal actually does not have true power, but he uses magic and trickery to mislead people. Dajjal will appear somewhere in the east, possibly in the Khorasan region, which now covers the areas of Iran, Afghanistan, and the surrounding areas. From there, he will begin to spread his influence, and many people with weak faith will be attracted and become his followers. However, there are 2 cities that Dajjal cannot enter, namely Mecca and Medina. These 2 holy cities will be guarded by angels so that the Dajjal cannot spread his slander there. The appearance of Dajjal will be a big test for humans. Those who do not have a strong faith will be easily tempted by its miracles, while believers will remain firm in their beliefs. Then, who will defeat Dajjal? In authentic hadiths, it is stated that the Prophet Isa, Jesus, will descend from the sky to kill the Dajjal. Prophet Isa will descend near the White Tower in Damascus, then join the Muslim army led by Imam Mahdi. They will chase the Dajjal to a place called Lud, which is now in the Palestinian territory. It is there that the Dajjal will be killed, and with his death, the great slander he is spreading will end. However, the struggle is not over. After Dajjal is defeated, Ya'juj and Ma'juj will appear, 2 destructive nations that will bring great destruction to the world before Allah Himself will finally destroy them. Such is the description of Dajjal according to Sunni Islam. Second, Shia views on Dajjal. In Shia teachings, the view of Dajjal has many similarities with Sunni, especially in that Dajjal is a real figure who will appear at the end of time to lead humanity astray. However, the main difference lies in who will defeat him. For Shia, Dajjal is a great enemy who brings the greatest fitna to humanity, but the one who will defeat him is not only Prophet Jesus, but also Imam Mahdi, a holy leader who has long been awaited in Shia teachings. According to Shia beliefs, Imam Mahdi is the 12th Imam from the lineage of Ali ibn Abi Talib and Fatima az-Zahra, the daughter of the Prophet Muhammad. Currently, Imam Mahdi is believed to be in a state of occultation. hidden, and will reappear at the end of time to uphold justice and eliminate injustice. When Imam Mahdi appears, the world will be in a state of chaos, injustice, and injustice. That is when Dajjal will appear to spread great fitna and test human faith. Many people will be tempted by Dajjal's tricks, but Imam Mahdi will lead the Muslims in resistance against Dajjal. In this final battle, Prophet Isa will also come down to earth to help Imam Mahdi in defeating the Dajjal. Together, they will lead the Islamic Ummah to victory, destroy Dajjal, and restore justice to the world. However, for Shiites, the emergence of Imam Mahdi is not just to defeat Dajjal, but also to establish a true Islamic justice system, which has been lost in the world. It is believed that Imam Mahdi will lead the world with wisdom and justice, eradicate tyranny, and build a society based on pure Islamic values. In the Shia view, the end times are not only about the battle between Imam Mahdi and Dajjal, but also about the revival of Muslims under the leadership of Imam Mahdi to achieve true justice before the arrival of the Day of Judgment. 3. The Sufi view of Dajjal. In contrast to the Sunni and Shia views that see Dajjal as a real figure who will appear at the end of time, many Sufi circles actually understand Dajjal as a symbol. In the teachings of Sufism, Dajjal is not only a creature who will come in the future, but also the embodiment of everything that leads humans astray from the path of truth. For Sufis, Dajjal symbolizes uncontrollable lust, greed, lies, stupidity, and excessive love of the world. Every human being has a Dajjal in him, namely, the urge to do evil, forget Allah, and get caught up in the deceit of the world. In this perspective, the struggle against Dajjal will not only happen in the future, but occurs every day in the hearts of every human being. Sufis believe that fighting Dajjal is not with weapons, but with cleansing the soul. Dajjal in a person can only be defeated by dhikr, sincere worship, controlling lust, and getting closer to Allah. For them, salvation from the Dajjal is not just by waiting for the arrival of Prophet Isa or Imam Mahdi, but by continuing to strive to achieve purity of heart and devotion to Allah. In some Sufism teachings, it is even stated that the Dajjal is not a single figure, but can appear in various forms, be it an oppressive political system, an unjust leader, or even thoughts that distance humans from Allah. Therefore, Sufis place more emphasis on spiritual struggle in facing the slander of the Dajjal, not just waiting for the big events at the end of time. In conclusion, for Sufis, Dajjal is a spiritual test that must be overcome by cleansing the heart and drawing closer to Allah, not just a physical threat that will come in the future. 4th, Ahmadiyya's view of Dajjal. In Ahmadiyya teachings, Dajjal is not a physical figure who will appear at the end of time, but rather a system or ideology that leads people astray from the path of truth. They do not believe that Dajjal is an individual with supernatural powers, but rather a worldly power that spreads materialism, secularism, and thoughts that distance people from religion. The founder of Ahmadiyya, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, taught that the fitna of Dajjal has been going on for a long time in the form of the dominance of Western civilization, science that is separated from religious values, and political and economic systems that contradict Islamic teachings. According to him, Dajjal is not a supernatural being who will come in the future, but is a deviation that has developed in the modern world. In addition, Ahmadiyya also has a different view of the Prophet Jesus. They believe that Jesus died a natural death and will not return to the world. Instead, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad claimed that he was the promised Messiah who came in spiritual form to guide people back to the right path. In the Ahmadiyya view, fighting Dajjal is not a physical war, but an intellectual and spiritual struggle. The way to deal with him is by upholding Islamic values, avoiding the negative influences of the misleading world system, and building a society based on faith and goodness. For them, salvation from Dajjal does not depend on the arrival of a savior, such as Imam Mahdi or Prophet Jesus, but on the awareness of Muslims to fight against the bad influences that have damaged their morals and religion. Fifth, Ibadi views on Dajjal. With Sunni, namely that Dajjal is a real figure who will appear at the end of time and bring great trials for humanity. However, there are important differences in how they interpret the end of time. In Ibadi teachings, the role of Imam Mahdi is not emphasized as much as in Sunni and Shia. If in Sunni, Imam Mahdi is a leader who will join Prophet Jesus to defeat Dajjal, and in Shia, Imam Mahdi is the main figure who will uphold justice at the end of time, then in Ibadi, victory over Dajjal is more emphasized on the faith and steadfastness of Muslims themselves, not because of the arrival of a particular savior. The Ibadis believe that Dajjal is a great test for Muslims, and the best way to deal with it is not to wait for a savior, but to strengthen faith, practice Islamic teachings correctly, and uphold justice in everyday life. They focus more on the spiritual and moral readiness of humans in facing the Dajjal's trials, rather than emphasizing the narrative of the Mahdi's appearance or mystical events. For Ibadi, safety from the Dajjal's temptations depends on the strength of faith and good deeds, and how Muslims protect themselves from misleading worldly influences. Dajjal may appear as a real figure, but the trials he brings can come in various forms, including injustice, corruption, and moral deviation in society. Ultimately, Ibadi believes that truth and justice will prevail, and Muslims who remain steadfast on the path of Allah will be safe from the Dajjal's temptations. Islamic friends, each school of thought has its own perspective, but what is clear is that Muslims must always be vigilant and maintain their faith so as not to fall into the Dajjal's temptations. Hopefully, this video is useful. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before I conclude, please allow me to sincerely apologize if in this presentation there were any words that were inappropriate or unintentional mistakes. As a human, I am certainly not free from errors. May Allah forgive all my shortcomings and mistakes, and I hope that you all can forgive me as well. My hope is that what has been conveyed today can become beneficial knowledge and bring us closer to His pleasure. Thank you for your attention and patience.